Hello. In this video, I'll be talking about how European lives majorly changed through the 14th to 17th century. The first major event in which European lives majorly changed was the Black Death during 1347 to 1351. During this time, there were massive impacts, including Europe losing about 1/3 to 40% of its population. Due to this, more jobs were opening, leading to more women working as a result. People also began to question the power of the church and its superiority over them. Laborers and peasants also made more money due to high demand of labor. The picture on the right by ScienceNews.org shows the destruction caused by the Black Death. The Black Death was very significant in changing European lives because it ended feudalism or the need for all social classes to depend on one another to attain success. Soon, European countries were based on capitalism, which is still used in the modern world today. Peasants, merchants, and other lower social classes gained more power and wealth. This eventually developed the middle class. After Europeans figured out the church were equally affected by the plague, they changed their views about the church, and these changes were vital in the start of new eras in the modern world we live in today. Picture down below by Study.com models how Europeans and poor social classes gained power and wealth after the Black Death. The Renaissance in Italy during 1375 to 1527 was another influential period which led to the benefit of European lives. The Renaissance was a major turning point from medieval to modern times in Italy. The Italian city-state was like no other European state because it was much more modern with banking and trade. Humanism, or the value of human beings, was also established in the Renaissance by Petrarch. However, the Renaissance was most widely known for its art, including its realistic painting methods by Renaissance artists. Slavery was also flourishing, and almost every successful household had at least one slave. On the right, the masterpiece by a Renaissance artist is presented by Culture Trip. Humanism also led to educational reforms, such as the need to study Latin and Greek classics, which all civilized people were expected to complete. Humanists believed in all people having rights and everyone being educated properly. Renaissance art broadened the view of Europeans. Throughout the centuries, Renaissance artists perfected their views of art. Slavery was also very significant during the Renaissance because slaves were taken into households like family to help them with chores. Although Italy would eventually fall to the invasions of France, it was a very intellectual country during its peak years during the Renaissance period. Below is a picture of Erasmus by Getty Images. Erasmus was one of the greatest scholars during the Renaissance, and his ideas paved the way for Luther's Reformation. Another major period that changed European lives is the Reformation from 1517 to 1648. The events in this period include the creation of the printing press, Luther's attack on indulgences, and Charles V's approval in passing the Peace of Augsburg. In more detail, the creation of the printing press helped Europeans in all social classes get a copy of important texts such as the Bible. This made it easier for reformers such as Martin Luther to get his ideas out. It also helped Europeans open their eyes and see what the church was really up to. Luther was successful in the Reformation in Germany, and the Reformation soon spread to other countries which embraced Protestantism. Finally, the Peace of Augsburg allowed kings who ruled in the Holy Roman Empire to choose the religion of their kingdom. This eventually led to the Holy Roman Empire having an equal amount of Catholics and Protestants. On the right is Luther nailing his 95 Theses on the church wall in Germany by Wikimedia Commons. The Reformation was one of the most significant periods that changed European life. For example, most Europeans believed in the church until the Reformation, which changed European society's view on the Catholic Church. This change in perspective caused some Europeans to convert to Protestantism and mistrust the church for its harmful actions. The Reformation also had one of the first moments of religious freedom. When the Peace of Augsburg was created, people were finally accepted for their religious choices in the Holy Roman Empire. The picture down below by History.com shows an event in the Reformation. Religious wars grew through the 16th, 17th, and early 18th centuries in Europe, and they ended with the 30 Years' War. Religious war featured the battles between the Catholics and the Protestants. In France, Huguenots were the Protestants who made up 2/5 of the population, fighting for their religious freedom. Later, the Huguenots allied with Catherine de Medicis, but they were quickly backstabbed. She supported the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, causing the demise of about 3,000 Huguenots. Finally, Henry IV gave Huguenots the rights they deserved in the Edict of Nantes. 30 Years' War lasted from 1618 to 1648 in Europe. The religious war had 4 periods, including the Bohemian, Danish, Swedish, and Swedish-French periods. At first, the war was mostly local and religious conflicts, but soon arose to also political conflicts. The end of the war led to the Treaty of Westphalia, which maintained peace, gave some countries more territory, and changed the amount of power for others. On the right is a picture of St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre in France by Flickr. Religious wars are very significant in changing European lives. For example, France became known as the dominant European power, while the Holy Roman Empire lost its grip on power. The result of the war also changed geography in Europe, since countries such as the Netherlands gained independence from Spain. Sweden and Germany both gained more territory. In the Treaty of Westphalia, the Treaty of Augsburg was also taken into consideration, so it allowed each kingdom to choose its own religion. However, this time Calvinism became a new option. Below is a picture of Europe in 1648 after the 30 Years' War by Pearson E-Text. In this slide, I cited resources I used for information and pictures in MLA format.